Hey everyone, good to see you. Except I've never seen you in my life. Cool. Two things I want to talk about today, from mainly my listening of the struggle of democracy over democracy in the 20th century. Interesting. It was a comparison of the fascism of Nazism, the communism of China, and the socialism of what am I forgetting? I'm forgetting. Not Russia. Russia was communist. I forget. But it's interesting that, to my mind, so I'm Catholic, and it really does seem that Catholicism seems to be. It's not obviously a form of government, but it does seem to accomplish a lot of the things that these other governmental institutions and systems aim for. Such as it has the unity of fascism, it has the individuality of liberalism, and it has the equality of communism, all of which make a sacrifice on those qualities. Um, and yeah, it seems to me that the best structure is a liberal society in which people freely and willingly assent to this unified morality and view of the world so that they can all operate together and have that unity and have that desire to be part of something greater than themselves while still maintaining their individuality and while putting individual onus on themselves to develop themselves, sanctify themselves, that they then, by that, might sanctify society and donate to those in need and care for one another and things of this nature that, unfortunately, right now, people are pushing for the government to do, which I think is stupid. And this seems to me to be the best route to things. There doesn't seem to be a need for government if people just live well. But I don't know why people think that we can just outsource goodness and virtue to the government, because the government's just comprised of people as well who are no better than us. And especially Milton Friedman talks about they're gonna be a lot less careful with your money paying for someone else than an individual paying for their own money. There's a multiple layers. There's you paying with your own money for yourself. There's you paying with your own money for someone else. There's paying someone else's money with yourself for yourself, and then there's paying someone else's money for someone else. And of course, you're only going to increasingly get less careful as you go on. So really, is the government really the best situation? No. Well, if you're not going to spend the money on yourself, then it seems the best thing is that you should spend money directly on someone else. And so that seems to be what should be done, really. So maybe there should be a private institution or organization that oversees that, so we don't have to rely on the government. So that was point number one. Second point is, let's see, deconstruction of human relationships by Nazis. Yeah, so of course, and fraternities do the same thing. Football teams do the same thing. The military does the same thing. What the Nazis did, of course, was they wanted, in being a fascist institution, that is to say, an institution that primarily focused on nationalism, it needed to reshape individuals into their collective identity or into the units that would fit well into this part. So what you wanted to do was break down people's, I suppose, past selves that would conflict with the ideas, axioms, and premises of the new system. And so, just as, again, with a fraternity, you try to break people down before you then build them up into this new person. And so, Nazism, of course, tried to do that. And why were the Jews so mercilessly persecuted? I don't know. I'm not well educated enough on this subject. There are, of course, 1,000 different speculations, but it did strike me that the Jew is, in a lot of ways, the perfect archetype, the perfect prototype of the antithesis to Nazism and fascism. If you think about it, fascism, of course, again, relying on nationalism. Well, who is going to be more alien to nationalism than they who claim really no nation at all? They are a nation unto themselves. That they preceded and have long survived after the Nazi Republic. That is to say that they are freed from nationalistic ties. In a sense, a Jew is more of a Jew than they are an American or a German or things of that nature. And so this fundamental and pervasive and inextricable characteristic and quality of these people is, of course, very threatening to a nationalistic, fascist state. Makes a lot of sense. In the same way that a lot of Christians were a threat to the Roman Empire because they sort of existed outside of the game. They weren't bound by the rules. They were freed from it, in a sense. And that's, of course, very dangerous to any sort of tyrannical ruler. Yeah, and so those are my thoughts for the day. So nothing crazy, but I bought 2 new PS3 games. I haven't bought a video game in like 10 years, 8 years, something like that. And so have to be careful that doesn't become a bad habit. But anyway, going to bed so I can wake up early. Ciao.